Hi, welcome to Scrapping with Lois. Today's topic is power layouts. Power layouts is a method of organizing and sorting an entire album of photos, memorabilia, and scrapbook supplies before installing anything on your scrapbook pages. I use a modified version of the method designed by Creative Memories consultant Donna Haller in the 1990s. It has become the cornerstone of my successful album making. I find it to be a valuable tool when getting ready for a scrapbook weekend retreat. All you need to get started is a few feet of clear space, your photos, memorabilia, layout guides, sticky notes, pen or pencil. A photo labeling pencil is handy for writing on the backs of your photos, and a container for storing your sorted layouts. Let's get started. If you are a long-time Creative Memories customer, you may have seen or even have one of the original layout kits. They came in two sizes, 12 by 12 and 8.5 by 11. This is the 8.5 by 11. It came in a gift box with specific instructions for doing the power layout and 30 cardboard layout guides. Well, since then, Creative Memories has brought back the power layout kit, and it is better than ever. The kit contains 15 polypropylene layout guides and a storage box with a side closure. It's very sturdy. Now, when you get this box, it is flat. It does take some time to get it into shape, but once it's been set up, it will be fine. I say this because there have been complaints out there about the box not easy to put together. But once you get it together, it is very sturdy. Now I'm going to switch over to where I have my layout set up. We're ready to lay out the sheets, and this is where several feet of space comes in very handy. It can be 1 or 2 6 to 8 foot tables, or kitchen counter, or even bare floor, if that's what you have. Now, what you would do, I can't show it here because I don't have the space for it, but you would lay your sheets out in a row, not touching, close together but not touching. And you would just lay them out in a continuous row till you got to the end of your table. And then you would start a second row until you have all your sheets laid out. Then you start with your photos, and you just pick up the stack, go to the first sheet, and you just start dealing them out. You don't really care what's on them. I try to put at least 6 on a page, but it's whatever you feel comfortable with. Your eye will kind of get used to it as you do it a little bit more. Now, these pictures were taken in a museum, so I do have a lot of pictures on there that are descriptions and not necessarily ones I'm going to install in the album. I just took them so I would be able to identify some of the objects in the album. So I'm just going to I can see that those are just a lot of descriptions, so I'm just going to pop those all on there together. Again, this is a rough sort. Doesn't have to be your final. You might want to add more pictures in at the end. You want to switch the order around. Some you'll want to take out. All we're interested in right now is just getting them down there so you're able to see them. That's it. And again, when you're doing this with your tables, you're going to be able to see them a lot better than this way. I can kind of see right now that I've got some there I might not use, but that's not that step yet. Got a few more to go. This was a tour of the White House of the Confederacy that I did in Richmond, Virginia, when I went to visit my sister in April. I happened to be there. I'm going to put those two together because that's one evening. I happened to be there during Passover, and that was rather interesting. And then I've just got that one, just was printed there along with this. I received that one on nephews wishing me a happy Passover. So now you've got your rough sort. You can see all your pages laid out, and you're ready to go back through and make some decisions about what you want to keep, what you want to throw out. Maybe something goes on a different page. So I've decided that one's not really a part of my trip, although it was part of the evening. It was part of Passover. So this one, they're pretty similar, but I'm going to keep both of them. I want to do some journaling, so I only want to leave that one on one page. And here, it was my sister. We went out, did some shopping. This was a picture I took later at the end of my trip. My sister had already gone back to the Outer Banks, where she stays a good bit of the time, and I was left in Richmond, and I was sending her a photo that I was packed up and ready to leave in the morning. So this is going to go at the end of my album with some journaling about my trip. So I'm going to take that one off there, and I'm going to put it at the bottom. That's going to be my last page. And then we've got some inside shots and outside shots of the White House of the Confederacy. And I think right now I'm going to keep all of those. And again, more inside shots. That one, I probably won't use that shot. I'm just going to turn it over. I'll probably take that one out. And I happen to see that these two are rather similar. I'm probably going to use that one. I may keep that one to cut it out as an embellishment. And then this one, a lot of gardens and flowers, but I love gardens and flowers. So I think I'm going to keep all of those. And then this one was my lunch sitting out there in the garden. So yeah, this one has a better shot of the fountain, so I'll probably keep it and not use that bottom one. And this was inside the museum. And again, these were taken mostly for the descriptions, so I could use them. So I'm going to kind of gather these all together. And said that's probably what it's going to look like. I'll just use that for descriptions. And I've got some more inside shots in the museum. It was very difficult to get pictures of some of the items because they're just so big. With this huge musket, and I couldn't do it justice. So I may not even use that one. In fact, I think I'm going to take it out right now. I'm just going to turn it over. I'm not going to use it because you can't really tell what it is. So I'm going to use that one. So, and then we have some inside shots of the clock. Now this one I may have to go back and look at my original because some of the description is not on there. So I don't know what was in the original and I just didn't print it properly or what. And this one, I think I'll probably end up using this one rather than that one because the shadow on it is more distracting in this picture than it is in that one. So now I've made a decision on which photos I'm going to keep and which ones I'm going to delete or remove, and I've added a page in. Now I have to decide the order I want these pages to go. And I know that this was all one day because this was the museum, so I'm going to keep those pages together. It would be easier when you have these all laid out in a row and you don't have them in a stack like I do here. It would be easier to see. Hope you can get an idea. So those are the inside of the museum. Now these were taken outside with lunch, so I'm going to keep the exterior shots together. And yes, that's this. Now this was the White House of the Confederacy. So that's the inside shot. There was the Valentine Museum, Valentine House, and the museum, and the White House of the Confederacy were the two I went to. Okay, so that was it for my excursion. This was a shopping trip while my sister was still there, so obviously it came before I did the tour. I did the tour after she left. So I want that before those pages. And this was shortly after I got there that day. I think this might have been the next day. Well, it doesn't really matter right now. It was Passover, and my nephew sent me a picture of Passover, so I included that. So this would actually be my first page. And this is something you can see better once you have your pictures laid out, because they don't always come back to you in the chronological order in which they were shot. So by laying them all out at one time, you're able to move your pages around to get them in the order that you want them. So I've decided I want this page to be first, because that was the first thing I did when I got there. We had our little Passover dinner, which was a conglomeration of, we tried to incorporate as many of the rituals as we could. And then I'm going to include my nephews, because they sent me that picture wishing me happy Passover. That one's definitely going to go at the end. I've already decided that one. And there's a shopping trip. So this turned out to be fairly easy, because I just have the inside, the outside shots of the museum are going to go before my final page of journaling and my arrival. And there we have it. Now that is going to be the final order of my pages. Now what we have left to do, and you could stop at this point if you wanted to. If you didn't have any more time, you could put it back in your box and take it out another day to use. We're going to continue. Now at this point you could, if you wanted to, if you're absolutely certain with how you want to crop your pictures, you could at this point crop your pictures. I don't always like to do that, because I'm not always certain that might be the shape I want to use later on, or it might fit with a particular design I'm trying to use. But what I will do at this point is rely heavily on the sticky notes. And you can write on these pages with the Stabilo pencil and erase it, so you could put little notes up here. The one thing I do like to put on the sticky note or up here would be whether it's a left page, a right page, and then I'll put the order 1, 2, 3, 4 through 15. Because when you're working outside of your album, it is easy to get them out of order. So back to the sticky notes, I would write on here anything that would jog my memory about what I want to journal on the page, any specific punches or embellishments or a particular collection of paper I wanted to use. I might even pull out the entire collection if I know I'm going to use most of the collection for this set of layouts. Otherwise, I would just mark on here. I would even put on the sticky note, if there's a particular layout I saw someplace, I would put here a note to remind myself to use that layout. But again, I think the most important thing to get on here is it's a left page, a right page, and the page number. You could at this point pull out your papers and start deciding on what colors you might want to use. It's a good time to do that. So once you have all your information down on your sticky notes, you could stop, store it, pull it out another day. Then I will go through that third time with my papers and decide what I want to use. I don't cut the papers, but I do decide, I pull them aside. If it's a collection I'm using, I locate the embellishments I want to use for it and any solid cardstock that coordinates with that collection. And that is pretty much the way I do it. But cannot stress enough the value of these sticky notes. Sometimes I will have 2, 3, 4, I think even 5 of these sticky notes on there. It's especially important because when you're going through this phase, you're thinking differently than when you're going to the installation phase. The installation phase should be pretty much just pick it up, look at your notes, install it on your page, and it should be 1, 2, 3, and pretty much done. So thank you very much for watching today. I know this was a little long and a little laborious to look through because I don't have these laid out on an 8-foot table. But if you do want any more information on the power layouts, I would just leave me a note, leave me a message, and I'll be glad to answer your questions. I do one-on-one in-person sorting of photos, decades, whatever you have, or power layouts. I do 2-hour sessions, and I can also do this virtually if you would prefer it that way. So thank you again very much, and please, I hope you'll come back next month when the topic is going to be how to pack minimally for a scrapbook weekend, taking everything you need and leaving behind the things you're not going to use. So have a wonderful day, and thank you again.